find experience, education, ministry, leadership development, finances, business. We have coached and watched many, many talented, capable leaders hit an invisible ceiling. Why?
Mm, yes.
Why?
Why does that happen?
What produces that ceiling effect? It wasn't, in our finding, lack of strategy, lack of intelligence, and it certainly wasn't lack of effort. Time and time and time again, we found that the ceiling on continued expansion was this thing that we all have, and it's our identity, and it's a lack of practicing an expanded way of being that is capable to hold the next level
Mm,
of dot, 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 whatever that next level is. Relationships, life, business. In our context today, we're going to be referring to money quite a bit, but this idea of expansion and identity, it's about being able to hold the next level of whatever is for you in life. And this is a good time, as Tammy mentioned out before, for us to make the point clearly and explicitly. This workshop is really not for the love of money. It is really about growing in self-awareness, acceptance, and alignment for an expanding
mm,
self-love.
mm.
We all, just for a moment, hug yourself, put your arms around yourself. A self-love that's able to receive and hold and create a floor where that ceiling once existed.
Mm,
And each time we hit a ceiling, remind ourselves, this is the floor of my next expansion.
mm. Love that. So before we dive in, we'll just share a little bit about who we are. Many of you on here already know us, but if you don't, I am Coach Tammy and the co-founder of Created on Purpose Coaching. And I've built multiple six-figure businesses in the past. I've served in ministry. I homeschooled for 12 years. And I've also navigated a lot of life through grief, the loss of my son Joshua, through a high conflict divorce, through loss, and through rebuilding, and truly coach from a place of experience and lived experience, and just absolutely feel a purpose and calling to help others to be able to experience this transformation that I have been so blessed to experience myself.
Yeah, and those of you who do not know me, I'm Christy, also co-founder of Created on Purpose, also built multiple six-figure businesses. I've coached in education, traditional and holistic ministry, relationships, finances, and business development for about 30 years. And I coach through observation, embodiment, and a highly attuned, practiced way of being.
Mm,
Primarily, that is my coaching philosophy is the being of who I am when I have the privilege of getting to co-create with someone.
mm,
Co-creation. Are you down for co-creation, everyone that's here? You down for co-creation? Drop it in the comments. Drop co-creation in the comments.
mm,
Tammy and I are experiential coaches. And here is one big thing that you hopefully will take away from today. We do not claim that our way is the
mm,
only way. We actually have a whole lot of belief in you and what you already know and who you already be
mm, mm,
so that you can create and expand and hold that next level.
mm,
We model identity and a practice way of being as primary. We believe being is primary. Your
Mm,
identity is who you are, it doesn't change. Being is primary, and what we do aligns and flows from that. So
mm.
prepare, friends, for a dive into identity and expressions of being in relationship to money today.
Yes, I love it. Okay, I'm going to start out with a quick roadmap. I'm going to share with you what we will be covering today, but just give you a little orientation. In the next 50 minutes, put on those seatbelts, get those pens and paper ready, because first we are going to step into bringing you into awareness. You already probably know this, or maybe you don't. Maybe this is new for you to think about, but you are in a relationship with money. And that relationship has a history and emotions, and truly is, we're oftentimes unconsciously creating the life that we are living with that, right? The second thing is along the way, we are going to uncover those beliefs that often began through our family systems. Maybe it was our culture, maybe religious messaging, survival strategies, and that shaped how you feel about receiving, selling, leading, and growing. Then we will identify 5 patterns of expressions of being that are rooted in that identity from where you're operating from. They reinforce either this idea, and you're going to hear this throughout this conversation today, the idea of either expansion or constriction in your life, in your business, relationships, with money. And finally, we're going to introduce you to the first step of our relationship repair process of identifying what are those non-useful thoughts and inviting you into further action if it serves you. So today is not about fixing money. Today is about becoming conscious of who you are being in relationship with it. Because when that identity shifts, your capacity shifts. And when your capacity shifts, it is filled with peace, impact, and income flow. So take a breath. Let's take that deep breath in again and exhale.
And I'm going to invite you to do that throughout the workshop. I want you to notice as we bring up ideas and thoughts and feelings and ask you questions. Notice when you're holding your breath. Anytime we enter into anything stressful, I am literally moving into a remodeled house right now, and it's a stressful thing, and I'm noticing where I'm holding my breath quite a bit. So, and I'd love to see everybody's face. We went off share for a moment to be able to look at everyone's face. So, thanks for those of you who have your cameras on. I'd love to see everyone's face. So, let's step into it, shall we? Before we talk about growth, we have to acknowledge something very, very explicitly. We've said it already. And you are in a relationship with money. Did you think of it that way? Have you often thought that you are in a relationship with money? I'm just going to ask the question. Maybe drop that in the comments. You thought that you're in an actual relationship with money, like you are relationship with yourself, with your spouse, right? It's not a transaction, although we treat it that way. And I'll also say this, do we treat relationships as transactions? Often too, right? So it is a relationship.
And like every relationship, it comes with history and emotions and memories and stories.
All right, friends. So get your pen and paper. This is the first thing I'm going to ask you to do. If you're comfortable doing this, this is a very sacred space. Our spaces are very safe and we consider them sacred for you to be exactly who you are, to say exactly what you are feeling. I want you to think backwards to your very first memory of money. Your very first memory of money. And then I want you to write that memory down. Write it down. And if you're willing to or comfortable to summarize that and put it in the chat, you're welcome to do that. I'm going to share with you now my very first memory of money. My parents divorced at the age of 6. And I was in the kitchen of our trailer home that my mother was renting, and she was speaking with a friend. And I can literally remember looking up at both of them as they were discussing what mother was talking about, this idea of cost of living. She was crying and she was saying, I don't know if I'm going to be able to afford the cost of living. Now I want you to be 6 years old, know, nothing about money or what that said to my little 6-year-old ears is that there was literally someone coming to kill us if my mother could not pay them for us to live. That was my very first experience with money. And whether it was me watching things on television, the visual I had in my head was someone taking us out into a field and like literally, um, what's the gun line? What is that called?
Mhm.
The execution.
Mhm.
There's a name for it, right? That is
Mhm.
my firing squad. Thank you,
Yeah,
Michelle.
there you go.
The firing squad. Like we were going to be taken out and killed for that. Now, looking back at that, I think how absurd.
Mm,
And what holds in my body is that there literally is a fear for my safety around money.
mm, mm. So powerful. So powerful. So I'm just curious, um, if your parents wrote a book about finances, would you buy it? Drop it in the comments. And this is not with judgment. It comes from love. Our parents loved us. We loved our kids, which we probably have brought into relationship with our own families, our own children, our relationship with money. Hmm, that's interesting. Dad
Mhm.
paying bills. We don't talk about money. Yeah, that's very common as well. Hmm, yeah, combination. Some of us had great experiences with parents that maybe had a good relationship with money or demonstrated positive things, but oftentimes we didn't. And sometimes, even if they did, it can bring some different thoughts into how we get money, how we give money, about
Mhm.
other people. So I'm just curious, Christy's going to ask you a couple questions that we want to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah. Here's my next question for you. And with regard to that first memory, alluded to it without actually saying it was the story you carry
Mm,
due to that memory of money because it shaped us for certain. Here's my next question for you to journal on, think about.
mm,
Drop in the comments if you're willing to. How do you feel about people who have a lot of money? And I didn't
mm,
qualify what a lot is. You could discern that for yourself. We've
mm,
got lots of millionaires now. We've got lots of billionaires now.
mm,
How do you feel about people who have a lot of money?
mm, mm. Fortunate. Depends on the person. Good for
Interesting.
them. Yay. Hmm.
Depends on the person. Circumstantial. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just curious on the flip side of that, and let's take a moment to pause and be honest with ourselves. What do you feel when you see a beggar? Maybe somebody who's homeless. Mm. Drop that in the comments. Down on their luck,
Mm,
empathy. mixed
empathy,
feelings. What
feelings,
happened?
what
Right?
happened, that God
Sad.
would pray for
Right?
them. Why aren't they working? Yeah,
Why
Belinda.
are they working? Yeah.
It's interesting that concept there. I think I've had every one of the feelings
Hmm.
that have been expressed there. Um, Especially if I visually can see that I think they're physically able, right? There's some judgment there. The work that I've done, I have come to have a completely different view of that. And I truly think, what trust do you have to ask for what you need and that it will be provided for you? What level of trust?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see the squirrels outside. Yesterday, I woke to the red birds outside playing, right? And they just trust it will be there. I just part of that for me has the shift has been that amazing trust that they will ask and it will be provided for them. So whatever your reaction is, just notice it. Re-notice that and notice and become conscious that our reactions are not random. They are rehearsed, right? They're coming from those this identity. Either we're going to talk about expansion or constriction, and then those beliefs that we have that were formed that expresses themselves into judgments that we have. None of us started neutrally, right? We're all shaped through things like dinner table conversations, stress in the air, silence around bills, arguments around bills and money, scarcity language, like we can't afford that. We don't spend money on that. Maybe this is a Southern saying, but money doesn't grow on trees. Anyone else ever heard that? Like, is that a Southern saying?
No.
Okay, money doesn't grow on trees,
Universal.
right? Oh, and probably my favorite. There are only two things in life that are certain.
Mm.
Oh, what are they?
Taxes and death.
What are death and taxes?
Death and
Those are
taxes.
only two things
Yeah.
that are certain. And then religious messaging
Mhm.
from church and a lot of potential for
Mhm.
misinterpretation of, scriptural texts and things that have been passed down. Tammy and I did a post, many of you probably saw it, about creating a lot of money and some of the messages that we got. One specifically was money is the root of all evil,
Yeah.
which is not the actual even scripture. Uh, and it's those types of things that get stuck that create our way of patterns of being and believing. So most inherited beliefs are formed from those who love us, who only wanted to protect us and provide for us. Yes, largely. The best way that they knew how to do that, a lot of it was inherited for them as well. And if yours were anything like mine, and the many people that I've coached, they're often rooted in survival, right?
Yeah.
Survival. And I think we're at a precipice in time in general, everyone, where we are now moving beyond. We have so much, there's such an abundance in society that we're moving beyond survival, right? And survival, I mean, it's not expansion. It is not that. It cannot turn that floor that we mentioned or that ceiling that we mentioned into a floor, right? So that every time you hit a ceiling, it becomes a floor and you move on from there. I love the idea of a mountain with no top,
Mhm.
right? We're just continuing on this journey of expansion. So it's interesting. Maybe here, visualize a mountain with no top with me. Visualize maybe your childhood ceiling, the home that you lived in, the ceiling of that. Visualize that becoming the floor for your next level of expansion.
Mm.
When our stories go unexamined, they fuse and form an identity for us in everything, but in relation to money specifically. And a lot of times create a constricted form of identity and way of being in the world. Money is not the problem. Say that with me. Money is not the problem.
Problem.
It's not. Money is a neutral tool. Interesting here. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to look back at what you wrote about when I asked the question, what do you think about people who have a lot of money? Look back at that. There was one that I wanted to pick out that was left here. Hal, my friend Hal. Hi, Hal. I'm so glad that you're here. Hal said, don't trust them.
Don't
Right.
trust them.
All right, Hal. I'm going to ask this. If I change that sentence based on what I just said, that money is a neutral tool, right? If I change that money to, how do you feel about people who have a lot of shovels? Would you say that you didn't trust them?
Hmm.
Maybe
No,
like,
to come on. They dig
yeah.
lots of holes. That's
They
what.
dig holes.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Who knows what they're going to be doing with those shovels? Maybe that's it. You don't trust them if they're in
Hmm.
your driveway at night, standing at, like
Hmm.
during the purge or something like that with shovels. That's what
Yeah.
came to mind when I said that too.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, right? The beliefs that we have around these words.
Hmm.
So, and with money specifically, the idea of money itself, there's such highly charged energy around money that it is often challenging to look at it as neutral and as a tool. Money, it really does. It is energy. It is in relationship with you, and it amplifies and reveals your identity. If you believe that money creates stress, and no matter how much you have of it, right, you will experience stress with it as it increases in what you make that mean, as it decreases in what you make that mean. If you believe money changes people,
Hmm.
does anybody believe money changes people? Yeah.
Hmm.
If you believe that, I do think that you will fear
Hmm.
getting money and what it will do in terms of making you different if you believe that it changes people,
Hmm.
right? If you believe that money, I've said this, is the root of all evil, why in the world would you want to receive it, right? Utilize it, even if it's for good. Why
Hmm.
would you want to do that if you believe it's the root of all evil?
Yeah. And think about this. If your identity doesn't feel safe holding money, if your nervous system is resisting receiving it, right? It's not laziness, it's safety. So as money enters your life in the room or exit, I want you to think and pause for a minute. How does your body contract? So if I were to say, everyone on here, Christy and I are going to send you each a lot of money. Just notice, think about like, how does your body react? Or if Christy and I said, we have access to your bank account and we're going to take all your money. We're going to take away all your money. Like what happens, right? Are you contracting? Are you expanding? Just notice that reaction because these are rooted in that practice identity. So Christy and I have coached many, many, many high level leaders that are very, very successful. But what we kept seeing, there was this hidden cap that existed. And leaders weren't stalling because of lack of knowledge or skill. In fact, many of them that we worked with had done lots and lots and lots of training, lots of training. But they were stalling for different reasons. And what we saw was there was this threat that existed that sometimes it came from a place of maybe being judged, Has anybody here ever felt judged as a leader? Or being too much, or maybe losing connection, outgrowing people, right? So really think about that. Like, what is going on in this identity that some of these things come up for us?
When money feels unsafe to our identity, and this is the idea of either having not enough or not or too much, growth feels unsafe. I want to talk to you a little bit about this idea of a money thermostat, right? So it's not necessarily about earning more money or budgeting better or planning for the future, though those things are important. And I'll say this, I am a testament, and Tammy is too, to putting those into practice. Once you have a clear idea of the identity that you have around money and the ways of being that that expresses, because I'll share with you, I have done lots of planning, financial stuff, and still filed bankruptcy 20 years ago. Today, I'm completely debt free, right? Most of you, some of you who know me personally, just moved into a fully remodeled home like it was down to the studs. We vacation, we own boats, we give. Tammy owns Airbnbs. We both have businesses. And it's not necessarily the budget and the planning and all those things that did that for us. It was understanding that identity too. It's really truly about who you become in order to hold that money. And this awareness is where our work today here begins.
Love it. Okay, we're going to step into next a conversation that we want you to explore and start thinking about this idea of expansion versus constriction. So when money enters your world, we are naturally, oftentimes unconsciously aligning with one of these two identities. So expansion comes from a place of gratitude. When was the last time that when you made a transaction that you paused and you offered gratitude for the money that just paid for a meal? Abundance. Expansion comes from a place of plenty, right? There's plenty. Peace. Start noticing, is there a calmness I receive when money is flowing in or going out? And also capacity. Do you have this idea of expansion of an unlimited potential to actually circulate money in the world? The opposite of that is this constriction. And this comes in from scarcity. And I'm focused on the shortage. I don't have enough money. I wish I had more money. It comes from a place of lack, that there's never enough, or fear somebody's going to take it away, or something is going to take that away. And even the pressure. Anybody here, and drop in the comments, anybody here experience, if I get a surplus of money, or I feel like things are going well and I have money, something always happens. An unexpected bill, an unexpected medical expense. Maybe it's an adult child that needs some help, right? Yeah. Has anybody experienced that?
Down. Right. And that's that idea of the thermostat. No matter how much I
Mm.
receive, something is always going to come in and bring me back to that identity that I feel comfortable with.
So what we've identified and what we're offering here today in this conversation is this shows up in 5 different patterns of expression of your being. So Christy's going to start out and tell you a little bit about the process that we offer.
Yeah. So I'm going to share the next slide, and I'm going to give you all 5 of these. And then I'll take it off screen so we can see one another and be human beings together. We're going to talk about 5 ways of expressing these identities in what we call these are being based in relation to your identity to money. So the first is about responsibility. The second is about the value that you have of yourself and potentially what you have as a business owner and how that expresses. So, value expression, receiving. Oh, receiving. We could do a whole literal thing on the capacity to receive. The fourth is about the value of what you create, right? So, value creation. And the fifth is a thinking pattern, right? A specific thinking pattern. So just wanted to share those 5 as we're beginning. Then I'm going to stop share so that we can all see one another again. And I just want to give a shout out to those that will watch on the replay as well. We had so many people that joined that for whatever reason couldn't be here today, so that we'll be watching on the replay. So just wanted to say hello to them and remind you as we are beginning here to take a breath, right? If anything we've said so far is cause you to, constrict a little bit, hold your breath, remember to breathe. As we are doing this, we do want to share this idea of this relationship repair process and what we really do in our Create on Purpose membership itself. We do 3 primary things, and we're going to introduce you to the first of that here. Okay. The first thing that we do in Created on Purpose coaching is we identify non-useful and untrue thoughts. Okay, so we've already begun this process to some degree, but this is the main step that we'll be doing here today is identifying, becoming aware, right? Identify, and we have a process for releasing those non-useful thoughts that are holding us back, keeping us at a ceiling that we get to. The second thing we do is help liberate ourselves and the energy that we have, right? We have a capacity for energy every day. And so much of that usually is in managing non-useful thoughts that are not true. So we liberate ourselves through a process of self-forgiveness. And then the final thing that we do is we focus all of that beautiful, imaginative, and creative energy that you are born with every day, that you have enough of to create what you truly want. We focus that energy into who you are being in order to create more of what you would prefer. And guys, whether that, and maybe drop in the comments, or if you're writing, feel free to keep doing that. Is it more money? Is it more peace with more money? Is it more peace with money? Is it more understanding with money? Is it more love with money? Is it more giving with money? What is it? Right. More of what you prefer, because you can create it. You really can. All right, Tammy, let's jump into it. Let's jump into the pattern
Yes, 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 yes.
so that you can actually see what it looks like. And as we're going through this, guys, I'm going to ask you, as we're going through the descriptions, if you could begin to, oh, like there I am. I do that.
Yes, so we're going to apply that to these 5 patterns of being and the identity which they belong to. So the first one that we want to chat about is responsibility. So there's a way of being that operates through unexamined thoughts and feelings and beliefs around responsibility. So I want you to pause and think for a minute. Do you think through the lens of this is happening to me? Or why is this happening to me? It lives in a reaction, right? And it feels powerless. And that is definitely constrictive, right? I just offer, like, have you ever felt that? I'm going to be honest. I've felt that. I was left with 46 cents. I cared for my disabled mom who had a stroke. and I had 4 kids, one in active addiction, who's no longer with us. And I asked that question a lot. Why is this happening to me?
And there is an identity, a way of being that expresses, that says, this is happening, and there is something in it that is happening for me. And I'm going to choose to be a powerful creator. I'm not going to deny these circumstances. Instead, I'm going to see a possibility that exists here that may just be for me. And pair with my choice of response, then I can actually co-create with the circumstance. So in our program, we have what we call the 5 keys of conscious creation. One of them is that I decide I create everything. It doesn't say that circumstances don't happen. It is how I actually want to experience that circumstance. So let's take Tammy's example, right, of caring for an aging parent, 4 kids, one in active addiction. Her husband chooses to leave, and she has 46 cents in her bank account at that time. And since then, how many Airbnbs do you have right now, Tammy?
2 Airbnbs,
2 businesses.
2 businesses,
And
debt
so
free, a credit score that
finding
went from 500 to 800. So it's incredible
that possibility
what can.
within the circumstance. We call that divine dancing, by the way.
Mhm.
Divine dancing. There is a divine possibility. And if I can find it, I can dance with it
Mhm.
and transmute
Mm.
whatever is happening into purpose for my life. That's expansion. That is expansion. And I'm
Mm.
curious, did you see yourself? You don't have to say, but did you see yourself in either or of those?
Mm.
Maybe a little bit of both. Which one would you rather be in?
Mm. Mhm.
Have a question for you here, just to consider. 2 questions, actually. One was what would change, or what would change if you could shift into creation, believing that you can create anytime, anywhere? What would shift in your life? What would look different? And what would stop feeling unfair?
Mm. Mm.
What would shift if you believed that you could create anything you want to create?
Mm.
What would stop feeling unfair?
Mm. I love this. Peace with money, more giving, more money, more
Recruiting,
possibility,
yeah.
recruiting.
Recruiting. And every business owner recruits.
Mhm.
Okay. We've got some that are not necessarily in direct sales specifically, but if you own a business, you are recruiting.
Mm.
You're
Mm.
recruiting and well, I'll say you're creating clients, right? You're creating people to co-create with.
Mm.
The second, we're going to go ahead and dive into the second pattern, and that is value expression.
Mm.
So let's see how I can share this. Many of us feel discomfort around promoting ourselves.
Mm.
Raise your hand if you
Mm.
have some resistance around promoting yourself and or the things that have helped you along the way. If you're a business owner, your products, your services. We do it in our lives, we do it in relationships, we do it at work, we do it in organizations, because somewhere along the way, we became convinced or have the idea, maybe unexamined, that visibility equals pride.
Mm. Mhm.
And you may not even you may not even realize your own value,
Mm.
right? And that definitely will spill over if you're a direct seller entrepreneur into the space of what you promote and sell.
Mm,
Guys, withholding visibility due to false humility is
mm,
not loving. It's not expansive. It is a fear-based, constrictive way of
mm.
being and
Yeah,
identity.
I agree. So I want you to think about this. What if who you are and what you love, you promote, you sell, or if you're a coach or if you have a product, you truly, with all of your heart, mind, and soul, believe that it serves people at the highest level. That these people unapologetically that have this belief ask for attention.
Say it again.
Ask for
For
attention.
attention.
Ask for attention, right? You refuse false humility because you know at your core that ultimately you have people that need you and your services and your products, that it could radically change their life and even your business, right? So, for those of us that are maybe in direct selling and recruiting, which tends to be a challenge, I'm going to tell you right here, right now, if somebody hadn't been brave and invited me into the space, and I didn't like direct sales, I was an anti-direct salesperson. I joined for a discount. I don't know what my life would look like today. It radically changed my life. When you talk about personal development with Paycheck, I built a six-figure business, but it wasn't the money. It changed and prepared me for the life to come, the loss that I experienced. The ability now, turning that pain into purpose of helping other people be able to do that. That I'm able now, and we want to invite you to think about this, that you love enough, that you love yourself enough, and you love others enough to be brave. And that, my friends, is expansion.
This next one, receiving. It's good it's in the middle. We're going to need to speed up just a little bit, Tammy. I want to be mindful of people's time. So receiving. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. So this is one that we see often as coaches for sure, that mindset, that idea of when it comes time to ask people to invest, in our products, to ask people to invest in our coaching, whatever your business is. So maybe you're that kind of person that you give easily, right? Whether it's financially, your time, all these things. But ask yourself this, what is your capacity to receive? What does that look like? Do you find resistance? Do you feel like you're doing something to someone, not for someone? If you're honest, right? But what if your capacity to receive was unlimited and you believe that there's always more, right? There's expansion.
Mm. Or do you equate receiving money with hoarding?
Mm.
Hmm. Do you equate holding with hoarding? Or do you believe you can make, manage, and multiply it, and there's this ever ending flow that is out there? Do you deflect? Let me ask this. Do you deflect receiving even compliments?
Mm.
Mm.
Do you? Do
Yeah.
you feel the need to, when someone says, gives you a compliment, oh, you look beautiful today. Can you just say thank you without having to say, oh, not really, or thank you, and you do too, right? What about just receiving a compliment?
Mm.
Joy. I think joy is the highest currency out there, by the way. When we downplay our own needs, our feelings, our desires, and believe it's always better to give than receive, because we've heard that time and time again, it's always better to give than receive. I'm going to ask this. Love your neighbor as yourself. Is
Mm.
it always better to give than to receive? Sometimes if in order for you to receive, someone has to give.
Mm.
Allow someone to give you something.
Mm.
If
Powerful.
you're a high giver, I, here's a question for you. It's not in where we thought we were going, Tammy, but are you really giving to them, or are you giving to get the feeling of giving?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. So powerful. Okay, we are going to step into number 4, which is value creation. So, thinking about this, I'm going to let Christy expand upon this a little bit because it's tied into our
Yeah,
next.
this is probably one of my favorite. This identity is this idea of receiving and asking for the value of the results that you create versus the time it takes you to do that thing. All right, I'm gonna give you just an example in a story. Okay, Picasso. Everyone know Picasso. Raise your hand. You know Picasso, the artist. Yes. So Picasso's sitting in a cafe, and he's approached by an admirer who recognizes him. He hands him a quick piece of paper and asks and insists that he do a quick sketch. And so, in just a few minutes, Picasso sketched this beautiful portrait that was unmistakably in his style. And when he finished, as he's handing it to him, he says, that will be $10,000. I don't actually know the amount because the story said it didn't know exactly the amount. But here you go, this is $10,000. The admirer was shocked and said, wait a minute, that just took you a few minutes to do this. And he replied, nope, took me 40 years to learn to draw that in a few minutes.
Mm.
Value creation.
Mm.
This is big for direct sellers and network marketers that are building residual and passive income. Most of us grow up with this idea of trading time for dollars.
Mhm.
Our parents typically were hourly workers or maybe salaried workers, but it was for a specific hour amount, right? And so when we are, resting or not actively efforting for the money that we receive, we feel not at ease with that. That
Yeah,
is
can you imagine? Yeah, what comes up for when you think about this, is it okay to earn money without a lot of effort?
Mhm.
What if your worth was not measured by exhaustion or how many hours that you were putting in? Mm.
And my final favorite one, and then Tammy, you're gonna bring us
Yeah.
home.
Yes.
This is the thinking pattern. And if you've worked with me before, you've heard this. There are two types of thinking patterns. And most of us, as we are learning how to navigate the world, we learned this in relation or contrast to this. So this is an apple, this is an orange, right? They're both round, but they're not the same, right? This is an orange, this is an apple. They're different, right? So this is true, this is true. As we evolve into expansion, we start to see that they're both fruit, right? Not how they're different, but how they're both and. So instead of either or thinking, we get into both and thinking. And how this relates to money is some of the thoughts that we've had before. If I grow, I will lose something, right? That's an either or. Either I grow or I lose something. Either I work for dollars or I earn nothing,
Mm,
right? Expansion says I can have money and integrity. I can make money and do nothing.
mm,
In one of the businesses that I operate for the last 3 years, I have effortlessly, I mean, in terms of effort, I've put zero effort into that business and I still earn today. Zero effort. Now, there was a lot of effort put in initially. Let's think Picasso, 40 years, right? I built that business in about 8 years and then have the ability now to earn without effort. So what if expansion didn't cost you belonging?
mm,
What if receiving more money did not
mm,
cost you integrity,
mm,
honesty, did not cause others to judge you?
mm. Priceless.
Those are our 5 patterns. And I'm just curious, did you see yourself in
Mm,
any of them? One more than other?
mhm,
Would you be comfortable dropping which one into the comments potentially?
mm. I
You're,
love
you're
that.
welcome to if you'd like to,
Yeah.
Tammy.
Okay, for time's sake, we are going to wrap up here. But before we do that, I just want to take a moment to pause. And first of all, I want to share the gratitude in my heart of gathering with us in this time in this space, because I do believe that we all collectively are going to change the world. And if there was a part of this for you that became conscious and you have a desire for peace and more alignment, not just with money, but in life. I mean, the transformations that we're seeing, and there are several people on here today that have incredible stories. In the last 2 months, I have literally seen miracles,
Almost supernatural.
miracles, divine supernatural miracles in people's lives doing this work, that they are co-creating with God, something that is so powerful and so unstoppable that it will change generations to come. So when you think about this, and maybe you've never thought about this, but there can be absolute value in coming into community with other people that are dedicated and committed to this idea of creating from a space of being. Or maybe you've never thought about working with coaches or group coaching opportunities or things like that. But being in a space that teaches you not more. We don't need more, you guys. All of you have one of our pillars is that you all have everything you need inside of you. We're not here to give you more learning. We really truly believe that each and every one of you that is here today has everything that you need. But we want to help give you keys to unlock the best life, the best business, the best relationships. We want to empower you through, and that comes through education and I really identifying, becoming super clear on your identity and who you are, which is different than being. Your identity doesn't change. In this process, and what I've watched, and I'm looking on the screen and I see people in front of me, even their being in a short couple months is changing. Like it's changing. It is absolutely changing. And so I'm just curious. If you knew 100% that in the next 30 days that you could experience this shift, what would that be worth? What would that be worth? So let's come full circle really quickly. Today we opened up and we shared this isn't about tactics, and it wasn't.
Although tomorrow will be.
Yes.
Tomorrow we'll get into action.
So really uncovering those things, right? About our relationship with money, our history, emotions, all those things, right? You saw where belief begins. It is a dinner table. Maybe it was our churches, maybe stress, maybe survival. I know for me, a lot of it was survival. And you saw that money, I hope our prayer today is that you saw that money is not the problem, right? Money is not the problem. But identify and become friendly with the idea that you get to co-create everything in your life, right? And identifying these patterns, the responsibility, the value expression, the receiving, and value creation, and the both and thinking, right? You're introduced to that first step, right? Identifying what are those unuseful thoughts? What identity is that attached to? And that you have agency, you have the ability, even with that first step, to become aware and to start shifting.
Mhm. Yeah, and as we mentioned, awareness is that first step. And I understand that awareness without action sometimes causes frustration. And I will encourage you to sit with awareness right now. Sit with awareness. Sit with what came up for you today. One step we do want to give you if you don't move on with us to tomorrow. For us, the first step with non-useful thoughts is to ask, are they true? Are they 100% true? And I'll give you a clue. The answer is always yes or no, period. The answer is always yes or no. It's not, well, yeah, but this is what I think. But no, no, the answer is yes or no. They're 100% true or not. And then the other third is, are they useful for what you want to create? So that's one action step that you can take. And then we're going to encourage you to come tomorrow with us as we move into, for time's sake, Tammy, as we move into what, how to talk to money, how to treat your money, um, money dates. You'll love the idea of money dating that we have for you. Many other, if you sense like there's more for you here to uncover, we have two ways for you to go deeper. If you're already on board for the VIP experience, fantastic. You watch the replay. It's still available if you want to do that. Um, we won't go into what it included. It was in the details. So Tammy, we're going to skip that for time's sake too.
Yeah, and Michelle's going to drop in the comments if you just want to take a look at that and what's offered with that. She's going to offer that link here in the comments.
Perfect. And then we did want to mention here, for those that watch the replay and for you guys as well, that as we began, almost it's been a little more than 30 days ago, Tammy. We did begin our journey about 2 months ago. We opened 50 founder spots in our community, and we have about 26 of those that remain for a very effortless 2026 that is created on purpose. If you take 20 and 26 and put that together, it's $46 a month, less than it takes for you to go out to eat, really, by yourself or with a partner. That includes 2 live coaching experiences each week, sharing circles for real life integration, monthly transformation workshops, a private community space, and then ongoing tools and frameworks. And yes, we do business development and coaching as well, because we believe identity is the part of that as well. And we do have business stuff as well. So you may be wondering, which one should you do? Here's what we can lovingly say. The VIP gives you clarity now. Membership gives you continue continuity. Say that word, and support. Whatever you choose to do, choose it consciously. We've just been honored to be here with you and co-create with you for this. Well, 55 minutes or 65 minutes. We are almost on it, Tammy.
Almost.
Almost there.
On time. Yes. Yes. Well, thank you guys so much. We are so blessed to have spent this time with you. We value you. We see you. And we hope to see you tomorrow and or in our community, and just want to offer that collectively today, this day and every day, that we are committed together, that we are changing the world, that we are changing the world.
Yeah.
Created on purpose.
Thanks, guys. come back tomorrow so that we can chat and integrate and actually
I forgot to, but I'll
create.
be out in a second.